Hello and welcome to episode 5 of Data After Hours. I'm your host, Eric Ballish, and today we'll be diving into the world that exists beyond the data. Joining us is my very good friend and mentor, Chantilly Jaggernauth. Chantilly has recently been honored as a Tableau Hall of Fame visionary and is the founder of Millennials in Data, a nonprofit dedicated to closing the data literacy gap for students and young adults entering the workforce. However, tonight's focus isn't on data analytics. We're going to dive into Chantilly's personal hobbies and interests outside her professional life. So grab your favorite after hours beverage, settle in, and let's get to know the person behind the data. This is Data After Hours. Hi, Chantilly. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. Good seeing you.
Yeah, I'm really excited to have you on today. I feel like I've gotten to know you on a very personal level, just getting to work with you for the past few years and working with you at Millennials in Data. And so I'm really excited to have you on today because I feel like a lot of people, especially in the Tableau community, know you as kind of like a very early adopter of Tableau and like pioneer in the data visualization space for user-centered design and because of Millennials in Data. But no one really knows what Chantilly does outside of the working hours. So we're gonna have some fun and get into some of those things. But before we do that, would you just mind introducing yourself and just telling us a little bit about your commitment to data analytics and how you're involved in that industry?
Yeah, absolutely. So, hey everyone, Chantilly Jaggernauth, founder of Millennials in Data, #MAD, organization that I've been running for the past 5 years. But I've been in this data space for about 14 years now. I started learning Tableau as a student at Howard University when my professor gave us an assignment and said, make sense of this data. And we just couldn't use that data set in Excel. So through a quick Google search, I ran into Tableau, was able to knock out my assignment. And at the same time, I was working with Johnson and Johnson, and they were looking for a Tableau subject matter expert. And I deemed myself an expert that night. So I went ahead and got some real world experience under my belt by helping them migrate from their legacy reporting platform, over to Tableau. And I'll say it's been like a love story since then. I've been solely focused on Tableau as my primary data visualization tool. I have a couple of ETL tools under my belt as well. And about 5 years ago, that's when I decided that I want to teach this skill set to other individuals so that there could be more of me within this community in this space. So that's why I started Millennials in Data. And today we just finished our 10th cohort this past couple of weeks ago. So really exciting stuff, and it was really exciting having you as an instructor and on that journey as well, Eric.
Yeah, of course. I loved getting to do it. I think it's something that I wish I learned as a student more.
Mm-hmm.
I think I kind of got into it like the very last semester of school and wish I was able to spend a little bit more time learning it as a student. And it's changed my whole career path for me. And so getting to work with you and teach that to other students has been really just a blessing. And it's always great to see where those students go. How many total students have you had in the cohorts that have gone through the program?
We've had over 120 at this point. So we've had
Nice.
probably a little bit more, but I would say the last time I counted, at least 120 students.
Oh wow, that's incredible. Yeah, I think I remember I was interested in millennials and data when I went to the Tableau conference in New Orleans, and I think at the one session Fanalytics, which they
Yeah,
don't do anymore, but you presented on millennials and data. And when I moved to the DC area, I was like, I got to get in touch with Chantilly,
yeah.
and I appreciate you taking a chance on me, and the rest is history. You're one of my good friends, and it's been really fun. So
Yeah, for sure.
well, I guess we'll pivot off of that a little bit before we get into some of your hobbies and stuff. But I know you love teaching and presenting, and I guess thinking about your Tableau conference presentation a few years ago, and I think anybody that's there would remember this. Afterward, you gave this great presentation on design secrets,
Yeah, I
and
remember.
afterwards, it was like, and I talked with Zach Bowders about this on his podcast, but everybody like rushed the stage, like wanting to like hand you their card and meet you. And like,
Yeah,
I guess I feel like when you get on stage, you get like, you get so energized from everybody in the room. Like, you just talk a little bit about presenting and teaching?
I do. 2019, that was that conference. It was the last conference right before COVID, and it was the first time that I actually did my own session. So before I was like a presenter for Fanalytics and some of the community sessions, this was the first time like I had my own stage and stuff. And at first, when I walked into the room, I was like, "Wow, there's just so many people in here." Like it was over 1,000 people. Some people were standing up in the back, and I took the stage. And I'm like, "All right, don't be nervous, don't be nervous." And then I just went into the flow of things. All right, when I got up there, I just turned it into a conversation. I like to ease the crowd by cracking jokes. So whether it's on myself or like a topic that we're talking on, once I hear the audience start to laugh, I'm like, all right, good. We're on a good roll here. So that's what really helps me as a presenter. And I would say now it's been a passion of mine. Believe it or not, I was so much of an introvert before. I actually still am an introvert, but I feel like all of that goes out of the window when I'm talking about something that I'm really passionate about in front of a crowd who is just equally as passionate about it as me. And I can say that about the Tableau community. I've really grown a lot as a person, both personally and professionally, into different areas of my life that I didn't think or didn't know I was even capable of growing into.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree. I kind of talked about this with John Schwabish on our last episode, but yeah, presenting and teaching is like, I don't know, when I get on a stage in front of people, like I just get, you definitely get like that energy coming from the crowd.
Yeah.
As long as they're engaged, you see their reactions, you're right, you crack a few jokes, like it just, I don't know, I get so much more
Goes.
comfortable, and
Yeah.
it ends up being a lot of fun. That it's not even like it's like hard work anymore. It's just, it's a good time.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so let's get into getting to know you outside of the data analytics community. I think everybody, like I said, kind of knows you for your work in user centered design and Tableau, but I know one of the things that you're really into is Bridgerton, uh, and I know we both went to, and I'm going to admit this, we both went to that Bridgerton experience when it was
Oh
here in
yeah.
DC. So I know you're a big fan. A new season just came out. What got you into Bridgerton?
I always like these old colonial type shows for some reason. And you remember the colonial wig that I had on that I
Oh
sent you a
yes,
picture
I
of?
remember
Like
that.
it was like during COVID or something. I was just in the house and I ordered a colonial wig to watch while I was wearing Bridgerton. But I don't know. I just and it's funny because I am an action movie show crime scene type of person. Bridgerton is literally like the only drama series that I watch, but they do a really good job of who they cast and the plot that they have each season. So I'm really looking forward to season 3. I know they just came out with the new episodes, but I haven't started on it yet because there's a cliffhanger, and I don't want that to happen when I go through. I want to watch part 1 and part 2 just all the way through without being left in the middle of, oh my gosh, what's to happen? Like I'm not trying to do all of that.
Oh,
Have
I
you
got
started
you.
on
I
it
didn't
yet?
realize that. I didn't realize there was like a cliffhanger for this season that just came out. Because
Yeah,
I guess, yeah, the first one and the second one, they're like all very separate. There's not much that like leads into the next season, other than
yeah,
we get to experience a new person's their experience and everything. So okay, I didn't realize that. Yeah, I we may have to wait as well. I hate cliffhangers.
exactly, exactly.
What did you think of what's your favorites outside of the new one that's come out? What's your favorite season so far?
Probably season 1. I think I was the most into that season. Season
Okay.
2, I was like, this is it had a really good story plot, but at the same time, it's like that's your sister's man. Like, are you really like, you know what I'm saying? Like that was funny to me. It was like, how are y'all doing that? Because two sisters, one
Hmm.
guy, and I'm like, all right, he's set to marry the younger sister. Him and the older sister have a thing, and I'm just like, no, absolutely not. You know, my sister
Yeah,
can't talk to
too
anybody that
much
I was talking to.
inner
that was
family
just too,
drama going on there.
exactly. That was just too close to home there.
What
Plus,
about? I
it's
thought
already somebody I'm
my
talking
favorite
to.
was the Queen Charlotte season.
Oh yes, I actually forgot about that one. But if we loop that into the overall Bridgerton series, then yes, it was the Queen
Yeah,
Charlotte
yeah.
one because it made me look at her in a different light of who she was. I was like, okay, she's not as mean as she's portrayed in the regular series. She's
Hmm.
this way because they kind of made her that way. She was like this really sweet girl at one point, and she dealt with a lot when she married into the family. So it just made me look at her in a
Hmm.
different light for season two.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. I know they kept that one separate from like the Bridgerton series, but I really enjoyed that when it came out. And like, I think that that scene at the end where, and I don't know if this is like a spoiler for anybody, but where she
Yeah,
like gets under the bed and like lays with it, like it just, it was
yeah,
just a very like powerful scene, and it brought it all
it
together. So
was.
that's been my favorite one so far.
And it helped me realize what was actually going on with him because remember in the
Hmm.
regular Bridgerton series, we never know like, okay, is he sick? Like, what is he sick with? What's going on? We never see him. We just see him a little bit. And I think in that series, we got to understand what was really going on with him.
Hmm. Cool. All right. Well, I'm glad that I never knew that you were into all these different TV shows outside of Bridgerton. So, and don't worry, we're not going to circulate that picture of you that I have in your colonial wig. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe we'll make an appearance at some point. But all right. So outside of Bridgerton and TV shows, I also know you're really into exotic cars, and I think recently you had like an exotic car experience or something like that,
Yeah,
right?
there's a group, they're called Extreme Experience. They travel to different major cities in the United States and they have a fleet of supercars. So you can pick from a Porsche, a Lamborghini, a Audi, a Corvette, a Ferrari, like all these different types of cars. And my partner actually surprised me with one. We went up to New Orleans and we're on this dirt road and I'm like, all right, where are we going? And then I just see like a fleet of supercars. I'm like, oh, I know exactly where we're at. So you get to pick what car you want to drive. I picked a Lamborghini, and you can do a ride along, meaning a driver takes you first to look at the track, like the racetrack, and how to navigate the racetrack. And then they walk you through like how to drive the car when you're driving the race on the racetrack, how fast you can go around certain corners and stuff. And it was really cool. So I got in the Lamborghini. I had an instructor with me. It's like a full blown racetrack. Like, and he's like, all right, you can floor it at this point. So I remember at my highest speed, I was going 140 miles per hour, which is definitely something I've
Oh
only
man.
dreamed of doing, like in a Lambo. Yeah, and it was. And then when they say brake, you gotta like brake really hard. You can't just tap the brakes. You gotta like slam on your brakes when you start coming to some of these corners. And I was taking curves at like 80 miles per hour, and I didn't know that you can do that in a car because I'm thinking if you take a curve at 80 miles per hour, you're about to flip and roll that car. But they said that because the wheels and the tires are so wide on the cars, it's what prevents them
Hmm.
from flipping. So when I got back home, I started looking at my bins. I'm like, all right, I think these tires are wide enough to start taking on some of these corners at home. So I wasn't, let's just say I wasn't able to be the driver for a while. Once I got back home, I had to give up my keys for a good 2 weeks. But yeah, it was a really good experience. And if Extreme Experience comes to a city near you, and I think they do it in DC, maybe in Virginia, I would
Okay.
definitely highly like recommend it.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out. I'm terrible with cars. I can't name
I know, I
anything. I
know,
don't
I
know
know.
anything about cars. I know you know this because I think on like one of my first days when we were working together, like, our keys were out on the table and you're like, "What do you drive?" And I was like, "I drive a 2011 Chevy Cruze." And yeah, you were just asking me questions. I'm like, "I don't know anything about cars."
Yeah,
Olivia, my wife, as you know, she knows so much about cars. We'll be driving down the road and she goes, "Oh, that's this, that's this." I'm like, I don't know what everything. I'm so bad with cars. It's so, I don't know. It's embarrassing. I feel like I need to know more.
I'm a big car person. I'm plotting on the next car that I want, and I think it's going to be a Mercedes. GT63 Coupe. That's the car that I want next. Super fast.
I can't even comment on that because I don't know what that
super
is. I'll have to
super
look it up. But
fast. Um, and I like the Mercedes. I like the Mercedes brand, so I think I'm gonna stick with them, and that's gonna be the next car I go for.
nice, got it. Well, don't ever get a Chevy Cruze. Mine's terrible. That's all I know. I get errors all the time with it. But all right, I think we got time for one more topic here. So I know you're a big basketball fan. Let's talk about the WNBA a little bit. I feel like this year, more than any other year, the WNBA has just gotten a lot of hype. I know the class that kind of came into the league this year was super popular amongst just like the college playoffs and everything. And uh, this is the most I've ever watched the WNBA, and like I'm super into it. Like, do you have a favorite team that you like to watch, or any new favorite rookie players this year?
Yeah, for sure. So I did keep up with the series this year. I usually keep up with both college and WNBA series or seasons every year, but I will say that this year there was a lot of attention because of Caitlin Clark and because of the record that South Carolina had. So going the entire season, being undefeated, and then finally competing against the team that you lost against last season, I know that that meant a lot. So from this most recent WNBA class, I was definitely looking at Caitlin Clark. I was looking at Angel Reese. She's local here in Louisiana, or was before she got drafted. And I was looking at Camila Cardosa more so because of her story. During the series, she never shot a three before, and the clock was dwindling down. They had one shot left. Nobody was guarding her. She's a big man on the field, like so she's
Mm-hmm.
center, and you don't think a center person would shoot a three. And I'll never forget, nobody was guarding her. They inbounded it, they got it to Camilla, and Camilla shoots her first three of the entire season, and they win the game because of that. And it was crazy. Like I feel
Mm-hmm.
like March Madness this year in terms of women's basketball was really exciting, and then to see now all of this attention in the WNBA is really good. I was trying to get tickets to one of their games, and even the ticket prices are now crazy. Like they're thousands and thousands of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember going to the games before and was like, hundreds of dollars. Like not even that. Some tickets were
Mm-hmm.
just $50. So I think it's
Yeah.
amazing what's going on with women's sports right now. And I think it's just the starts. And then in terms of NBA, I love watching the NBA as well. I wouldn't say I have a particular team, but I am rooting for Minnesota to make it to the finals. I just feel like Anthony Edwards, he's doing a really good job of being a team player, of making great decisions, of just running the basketball. And I would really like to see them potentially win the finals because I'm rooting for him. I'm rooting for him.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Yeah. I the whole Caitlin Clark effect, and just everything that came out of the college season this year is, it's like been great. I mean, we looked at tickets for when she's here in DC, and you're right, it's like the prices are just like insane. It's like, oh man,
Crazy.
you used to be able to,
Crazy.
yeah. But no, it's cool to see. This is so ignorant of me, and I feel bad. Like we were watching the draft just to see like where everybody went, and like I didn't realize that there were so like little teams in the
Oh yeah,
WNBA, like, or so fewer teams. I
they
and I
don't.
like,
Yeah.
to me that's just like crazy. And I'm watching, I'm like, man, Las Vegas just picked up three girls in like the past like 8 picks or whatever. I'm like, my gosh, they're going to be stacked. And then I'm looking at it, it's like, oh, there's only what, like 14 teams or something like that,
But what happens
which
and
is
why it's unfortunate is because during the draft, a lot of the women they would get drafted to these teams, but the teams don't essentially have capacity for them. So you'll also see a lot of cuts happening right after training camps. So yes, it's an exciting day for them to make it to these teams, but There's always that will they get to stay because of salary caps and whatnot, and
Hmm.
roster adjustments that they'll need to make for these actual teams that they're on. So the WNBA could definitely use some more teams in that league.
Hmm. Do most of the players that either get cut or don't make it, do they go and play internationally?
I believe so. Yeah, a lot of the players
Hmm.
that I follow, they usually go overseas and play. And when you just look at the numbers, it makes sense for them to. In the WNBA, they get paid way less here than they would playing overseas. So I know a lot of WNBA players go overseas during their off season to make additional money than they would here in the states.
Got it. Wow. Yeah, that's crazy. Well, I'm hoping to, now that I've kind of really gotten into it, and I'm excited to kind of see it grow. And did I see that they're looking to expand the WNBA, or they just added another team or something like that?
I'm not sure. I haven't seen or heard that one.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like I saw that somewhere. Maybe I'm just making things up. But all right, I think we got time for one more question. And I've been asking this for everybody. It's a silly question. It's very silly. So, if you had to fight a gorilla or grizzly bear, which would you choose and why?
uh, there's a and I'm gonna there's a DMX quote that I'm gonna answer this one with. Hold on, I had to look it up because I want to say it right. The DMX quote. I'm gonna say they say if you see me in the it's mystical. Sorry, it's not DMX. If you see me in the forest fighting with a bear, help the bear. Basically, so I'll tussle with the bear.
Oh, all right.
And
Okay.
it's in a song.
Obviously, I'm going to put this together in some. Yeah, I'm going to put this together in some kind of visual component at the end. But I think you might be the second person to pick a bear. But all
If
right.
you see me in
Thank.
the forest fighting with a bear, help the bear.
I like that. All right, Chantilly, you're the best. It's always great catching up with you, and thanks for taking the time to chat with me tonight. It's been great getting to learn more about your hobbies and interests outside of work. I know our listeners will really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a pleasure speaking with you as well.
Cool. All right. To our listeners, thanks for tuning in. Make sure to hit subscribe for more interesting stories from the data world and join us next time on Data After Hours. Stay curious and good night.